So the presentation today is on advanced modeling techniques. So hopefully, I have a little bit of something for everyone in here. We're going to go over quite a few things. We're going to cover some rip and stitch surfacing techniques, some things that you can do with the point tool and the loft command and things of that nature. And again, here you're looking at this first slide. It's the 3D curve generation. Now, you may see here that I'm a bit of a Bengals fan. And so all of you Steelers fans out there, you can go ahead and just close out of the webinar right now. I'm just kidding. You're more than welcome to stay. But a lot of times, when I'm just sitting, because the other part of what I do here for 3D Vision is technical support. So I'll be sitting on the tech support lines, or I'll be waiting, and I'll be thinking about just different modeling challenges and things that I can do in order to model things up. So I got this little helmet here at the Christmas party a couple of years back, and I was looking at that helmet that's on top of my head there. That helmet is actually not full size, so my head's not quite that big. But so I was looking at this little helmet here, and I was wondering, how in the world would you start modeling something like that? If you were to reverse engineer that, what could you do to get yourself going and get yourself started? Okay, and so what I kind of figured out was, even the toughest models will have edges that you can use to get curves from. And really what you can do is there's certain measurements that you can typically take from almost any part that already exists out there. And so one of the things that I did, let's go back over here to SolidWorks and get our file open. Okay, can everybody see my screen? I just want to verify that real quick. It seems as though that you can, so I'm going to go ahead and proceed. One of the things that you can do is and especially with these fancy dancy smartphones today, you can take pictures, right? And you can load JPEGs into the sketch environment in SolidWorks, which makes it extremely handy to reverse engineer things such as this helmet here. And so what I did is I kind of took the face mask off this helmet. Let's go to the bottom view of this thing, and I'll show you what we've got going on. Okay, so I tried to take, as good of an orthogonal picture as I possibly could of the helmet. And so this is the bottom view of it here. And if I come in here and I show you this sketch, okay, what I did was I imported the sketch, and you can see the way that I started it is I drew this line here. It's 122 millimeters long. Okay, and I drew that line based off of the measurement that I took, from the actual helmet in real life. And then when I brought the picture in, I then scaled the picture down to where the width or the length of the helmet would then fit that 122 millimeter line. Okay, now at this point, since everything is basically a wavy or a curvy surface of some sort, the spline tool is going to come in handy. All right, so I used the spline tool, and I used certain techniques to get the spline in here to fit the rim of this helmet really well. Okay, one of the things that you can do, okay, and I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on spline manipulation, but is if you click a spline or you right-click a spline, you can come in here to the display control polygon. Okay, it's located right here. And when you turn that little guy on, you're going to get, as you click on it, okay, you'll get these little yellow triangles in here. Okay, and you can actually click and drag with these yellow triangles, and that is going to give you a really subtle manipulation of your spline so that you can really control it better. It's almost like the inverse of the inflection points. Anywhere that there's going to be an inflection point or a max or a min, there's going to be one of these little yellow triangles that you can then click and drag and subtly manipulate your spline that way. It is extremely handy, to have that option turned on. Okay, so that's one thing, that I did in order to get that spline in there. Okay, so let me move my control panel here for the window. We'll close out of here. So that's the picture from the bottom side. Then I moved over and I said, okay, let's take a picture from the side. Do a normal to it here. Okay, and again, I traced the ridge of the helmet. Okay, because if you look at this helmet, the ridge or the opening in which you put your head, that really is what defines the helmet, other than the radius along the outside of it here. And so I figured that would be a really good place for me to start and model and get some hard edges and some topology that I could use. Okay, so at this point, after I got my 2 lines sketched, then what I did is I did a curve, and I projected basically my sketch onto my sketch, which gives me this composite curve here, is basically what it comes down to. It's blue like a composite curve, and you can use it as such. Okay, so if you look at the feature here, if I edit that thing, okay, and it's basically just, you know, picking the 2 sketches, which I had named bottom and side over here on the left-hand side, okay, and projecting them onto each other. A lot of times, though, it's really hard to see that, especially if you've never projected sketches onto sketches before. So the best way that I can really explain it, and what I'll do is I'll choose each one of these sketches, and I'll extrude them out as surfaces. Okay, so I'll just pick it here, grab my surfacing toolbar up here on the top, and I'll do an extruded surface. We'll go the other way with it, and just extrude it down at some arbitrary length. Okay, so that's one, and then we come back over here to the side and we say extrude this surface this way. We'll flip it. Okay, and basically what you can see here, as I rotate this guy around so you guys can see it a little bit better, is that curve is basically like an intersection curve between the 2 surfaces that you would extrude. Okay, so that's literally what, you know, the projected curve is doing, is you project a sketch onto a sketch. Okay. All right. I'm going to really try to not move too fast here, guys, with the presentation and the rotating around, because you know, over the internet on a webinar here, you know, it's hard for you guys to catch up visually sometimes. The other thing that you'll notice that I do is I'll hit my control button, which gives me this little sonar bleep on my screen to let you know where I've moved my cursor to, in case it's moved a little bit too fast for you. So throughout the presentation you can look for that as well. Okay, so that's a projected curve, and like I said, it's a really good way to look at something in an orthogonal view. Look at it from the top, the front, the right, the bottom side. You know, what type of data can you pull from there? What type of topology or sketches can you use? And then, you know, use that to your advantage.